All right, time for us to clean up. One of the nice things about the Caligo Safe Wash ink is that they advertise you can clean it up with soap and water, or you can also clean it up with a solvent. Now, if you're working from home, you obviously want to probably be as safe as you can and use soap and water or some other kind of cleaner. In the shop, we use a solvent called Gamsol. Now, I'm going to use that solvent on the brayer. Okay, we have our ventilation hood area, shelving area. That's the only place we want to use solvents. We don't want to use Gamsol or paint thinner or any other kind of oil-based solvent out in the main room. We want to turn on the vent and let the fumes be drawn out of the room. Anywhere out here, we want to use soap and water or glass cleaner or simple green, some kind of hand cleaner. Okay? Any ink you pull out of the can, you can't put back in the can. So if it's a significant amount of ink, you can save that ink. We have a little bit of wax paper. Where this is probably more important if I've mixed a color and I need to use it again in the future. For something as simple as black and for that much ink, it's probably not worth saving unless you know you're going to print again tomorrow or the next day or something. But if you want to save ink, just put it in wax paper, or if you have little containers, something that kind of keeps it from skinning over. The ink dries through air circulating and evaporating, right? It starts to skin over, so we want to keep it from skinning over. Okay? I'm going to scrape up as much ink as I can. And then I start with a dirty rag, okay, a rag that's already been used but is still usable. Okay? And we have those over on the countertop. We have two containers, one that says denatured alcohol and one that says paint thinner or Gamsol. Okay? So any of these rags that are denatured alcohol based or cleaner based that are still usable go in the container. Any rag that's no longer usable, we want to put in one of these cans, right? It's absorbed so much ink or chemical that we don't want to leave it where fumes are coming off of it into the main room. We want to put it inside the can. And then when these get full, they get emptied into our larger bin here, okay? And then once this gets full, it's taken care of and disposed of properly. It's not taken to a landfill. It is treated as a special chemical waste. So, if I've got ink all over the can, I probably want to wipe as much ink off as possible because, again, ink can kind of lodge that lid on, so it's really hard to take off. So you want to make it easy to take it on and off. And ideally, we want to be able to pick up any ink can and not be able to get ink all over our hands. And then put it back on the shelf. And this dried chunky ink, we can put in a used rag too. Then I'll put glass cleaner down. Glass cleaner is probably the easiest thing to use because it's so handy, right? For soap and water, you probably need a little bottle of a spray bottle dedicated with water mixed with a little bit of Dawn soap in it, and then that works really well too. In the shop, because we have so much space and we have ventilation, it's probably easiest just for us to use glass cleaner or simple green. But in your home, or a small space, you got to think about the fumes and the chemicals that you're dealing with. If you're doing this, every day, you want to be really concerned about those kind of things. And use soap and water if you can. So I get most of the ink up with that rag. Now that rag I can't use anymore, so I'm going to put it in the red can. All right? The shop towels are on your materials list. But in lieu of that, you could also use cotton rags. Something a little thicker or more heavy duty than a paper towel. That's pretty good. I'll continue to use that to help me clean up the ink knives. I'm going to get this one more time. That looks pretty good. Let's get the brayer, the block, and the ink knives.